Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Resident Evil 4 with the fan-made HD mod. So, we're about to lose Ashley. There's no way to not lose her, and no reason why you wouldn't want to lose her. I've changed the dead zones on the Resident Evil 4 tweaks a little bit to see if maybe the gun will stay a little bit more on target. Like, there very possibly is a little bit of random noise that comes into my Xbox core controller, is what I guess like it is, that could be adding to the drift that is programmed into this. A lot of this is definitely drift, because if this was actual, well, if it wasn't programmed drift, then there would be a natural direction in which it would randomly go as far as the dot. It wouldn't just go up, left and right, then down, then up. It would be consistently targeting towards a specific direction, and that's just not happening. I also found out in doing a little research that doing the shooting gallery here gives you, if you do all 4 tiers, it gives you 125,000 pesetas. So if I could get that last bottle cap in this, I'd get 15,000 pesetas to start with. I also found out that you can shoot this guy, and maybe even this guy does show up in Resident Evil Village. I haven't played Resident Evil Village, so I'm not sure. There's a character named Duke that's a big fat merchant character. So if that is the guy, there's the treasure we want to pick up, but we can't get to it yet because there's a gate here. Yeah. If the idea is, though, that they make the merchant guy look completely different in Resident Evil Village, then that seems weird. You really would want him to come back and look at least fairly similar, even though honestly there isn't a lot to see here as far as a character. You can see he's just got fingerless gloves, and then he's got a long coat that's tattered and like thick leather boots. He's wearing this. He's got a latch on his coat to open up. You have a mask covering up most of his face, and you just have blue eyes. It's basically like somebody wanted to make a 3D model of a character really quick. I wouldn't be surprised if this face texture is exactly the same as some zombie textures. The eyes aren't glowing, so you assume he is not infected with the Lost Plagueis virus. And on lower difficulties, if you shoot him, he'll respawn, but on higher difficulties, if you shoot him, he'll die forever. And I don't think you get any gold or anything from him. Even if you did get gold from shooting him, it wouldn't really help. And there really isn't a need to cheat so much to try and get gold. If you just want to have a more abridged experience with this game, since it's old and since the remake is just around the corner as of playing, you would just get a save file. It just makes so much more sense to just get a 100% complete save file that has potentially everything unlocked, everything upgraded, or a ton of gold so you can unlock and upgrade it. Regardless of what you do, you're going to be devastating your experience quite a bit as far as actually earning something and feeling the satisfaction of earning it. But also, it's probably not really worth it to play the game 2 or 3 times in a row. So this is like the first time I think we've actually seen Ashley cough up blood. You never see another spike trap coming out of the floor, so this cutscene kind of fails at that idea.
What's going on?
And we never see walls grabbing people and spinning around.
Don't worry, Ashley. I'm coming for you.
See, normally We can see my accuracy went up a little bit. Normally you're... I'm just gonna go ahead and, I guess, overwrite this save data. And put 2 chapter ends next to each other. Normally you would get to this section.
Hunnigan, what happened? The transmission got cut off. Salazar, how'd you...
We've jacked the line. We didn't want you telling everyone any unnecessary information.
Where's Ashley?
Yeah, he really failed to
So she
report
fell into
that
one of our
they're
wonderful
potentially
traps.
infected
We'll make sure we find
with
her.
the Las
Don't
Plagas,
you worry about her.
which...
Oh yes, I let our miserable insects out for some exercise down in the sewer.
Thanks. That should keep me company, because boredom kills me.
So we get
I
into
look
the kind of
forward to our
ridiculous,
next encounter
cliche
in another life.
conversations. This, by using the transmission, they don't force you into having to communicate with people face to face. We could certainly go back now and deal with the merchant, or save if we needed to, or do the shooting galley. So no longer is it an escort quest for a while, which is nice. And this is the point that we get into sewers, and the sewers kind of feel like a section that could have been in the island and would have made a little bit more sense, but it does flesh out this area. Yeah. And the trick with the insects are that they are invisible. And I think some of them actually also are on the roof. Maybe not so much on the roof. I thought their invisibility though didn't get to the level of the red dot not showing up. See, so their invisibility gets traded off somewhat by dying if they do get shot fairly well. But they're fast movers too, so you have to be fairly careful there. And they're kind of heavy hitters. But this is inherently the problem with any kind of horror game, is that once you've played the game once, any of the horror elements get eliminated. Now we have a green eye, and I think the green eyes might go into something, but they may be random drops too. Got these candles. Can't blow out the candles or anything like that. Spooky noises. Yeah, it inherently brings you to this situation where the game drastically changes. And since these guys are invisible, I don't think you ever really get a great look at what they look like when they're just static. We hear this like splashing sound effect. but I don't see him. There he is. Right. And if anything, that shows that your shotgun is still not really at the level you want it to be compared to the rifle. So as much shots as you can possibly pull off with the rifle, the better. Interesting that you have this big flaming torch here to just kind of emphasize this is where you're supposed to go. I'm willing to go ahead and just reload this. There is a slightly interesting thing about the way, the Resident Evil 1 remake added this whole extra content where there's this like extra underground area and underground boss character. So I suspect in the remake of, let's go ahead and increase our health while we're at it. In the middle of the Resident Evil 4 remake, we will probably see some small effort on that, in that direction. To so there is a prisoner, so maybe the Los Plagas doesn't fully work with everybody. And here we have more Lewis documents, which I guess maybe Lewis explains where we find some of these documents. They spew a toxic acid on you. Which does seem to do a lot of damage. And see, now we've got a blue eye. So the game definitely is establishing the idea that there will be something you do with the red, green, and blue eyes. Yeah, and you just kind of take this slowly. And you should be fairly fine. I kind of get the vague memory that there might have been like a jump scare here, but I may have just waited for the insects to go away. Or it might be that we have to drain something here by turning a pipe, and then yeah. So we drain the water to go further. This is your little introductory to these enemies, and they play not as dangerous as they might. I am now short 1 green and just overburdened with everything else. So I think you want 2 of these butterfly lamps. I think there's 2 in the game, so you want just like 2 of everything. And you probably will only get 2 of everything. We're also looking for another mask. And we're gonna definitely start running out of room. It makes a lot of sense now to potentially sell at least 2 incendiary grenades, keep 1 maybe flash flash grenade. But I think that's all I could really justify. These characters now, these insects will now spawn potentially out of the ceiling or beyond the ceiling, such as this guy here. Of course, your handgun is just not strong enough there. A little wonkiness there. I did exit out of the app and reload it. So it does seem like we don't have so much a case where so red, green, blue now. We can immediately sell that for a bunch of gold, which could get us some upgrades. We're not having the micro stuttering issue, but there is still slight issues, I would say, around running this game on a modern computer. It is definitely enough of a justification. Notice there was a kick prompt there. If I wanted to try and take that on. Yeah, there definitely is enough justification to remaking the game. Instead of potentially just trying to remaster the game one more time. Let me check the map here. It definitely does benefit me to check the map and potentially get a bullet upgrade on the shotgun. This is the room that we couldn't access before. Noticeably, there's no spindle or item pickup. It doesn't seem like there's anything up here. It doesn't seem like there's anything here. Well, that didn't work. Let's go ahead and use this. Where is it? I may be straight. I'm getting a frog in my throat. I may straight be out of shotgun shells too. Which this is a kind of constant problem that you have in this point of the game, is that regardless of how well you play, you're going to be limited to the number of upgrades available to you. And see, this is really the only point where you have a trap that is even slightly in line with what you would have kind of expected with the spikes spiking up. There's a couple other places, I guess. And if anything, this is just, I guess, to remind you that you can run just in case you forgot. And these traps, I guess, are the only thing that do kind of make sense in the castle. You could definitely imagine a different version of this game where there would have been a whole trap section here instead of a sewer section. They wouldn't have introduced the insect fly Las Plagas characters. Of course, if they go down that route, then when they show up again later, at this point, the spoiler, that too would need to be changed. But not by much. And I believe with the climb up, what I want to do here is have a grenade ready. I could do a incendiary grenade, but I have enough for an explosive grenade, and I think explosive grenades actually do the job a little bit better. So you have this whole cult with a guy with a he has a whole thing on his necklace. Alright, so fairly quickly we want to jump and jump, and then we want to go pick up all those items. He is back behind a gate. And I can't get to that. So here we have a mask. Alright. So I jumped one way and I jumped another. I guess I could have also jumped down. I killed all those people and didn't get anything for it. Which that would be a great example of really wanting the game to reward you better later on, and just have the merchant say, okay, I found a bunch of gold left on the ground, so here's half of it, maybe not all of it, or I took a 10% cut. He tried to run this way, which you can now see this door is locked. There's this whole sword through gore. So yeah, we're just going that direction. Like, I'm fairly certain that if we unlock the second tier of shooting galleries, and I get really good at the second tier, which, if I vaguely recall correctly, I think either the second, third, or fourth tier is actually easier. You can do that twice and unlock both a bottle cap for the first tier of bottle caps through finishing the second tier of challenges, if you do it a second time. Which, that would be very helpful. But I also am just not really that interested in trying to grind out for bottle caps. We don't have the most amount of treasury stuff, but we have enough. So we can combine this one and start with that. there is this problem here, certainly, in that the things like this Illuminatus pendant feel like something that would maybe combine with a gold bangle or gold chain and be something bigger, but it just isn't the case. Also, there's writing on the back of that, and it just spins automatically. I can't control it or zoom in.
Welcome. Got some rare things on. What are you selling?
You definitely want to upgrade the shotgun items.
Is that all,
capacity.
stranger? Thank you. Is that all? Thank you.
32,000 for that
Thank
one.
you.
12,000 for that one.
Thank you. What are you buying?
So we can't upgrade the capacity on the shotgun. So upgrade the firepower on the rifle, even though we may not get to use it very much. And upgrade the firepower on the handgun, even though we may not get to use that much.
What are you
and
buying?
Then all this seems like this really is going to do is push us potentially to buying something else. And I could see, if I had room for it, buying the mine thrower, so we start seeing mines as ammo, but that doesn't really make sense. Alright. So what we want to sell is incendiary grenades. We get down, sell 2 of those.
Is that all, stranger? Thank you.
The price of these grenades may have actually gone up.
Is that all, stranger?
Like,
thank you.
I think I can probably sell both of these flash grenades. I can't imagine there's a spot where I could use them.
Thank you. Come back anytime.
This door handle, has that been shot off? So this puts you in a bad position where you just have 5 shotgun shells. You have a lot of rifle shells. TMP is at its max, and handguns at its max. Health is getting worse. I don't know if 3 greens actually leads to being more valuable than a first aid spray. Let's see. I was going to zoom in with this. So no, it's just kind of a weird design, but no indication there. You still run into a major problem here that, why is there this like slot on the door? It's like a mail slot, which this is kind of a great example of. This is almost certainly a texture somebody else made, possibly one of these stolen textures, not this actual texture, but something what was in the original game, because it doesn't make any sense that somebody would add mail slots to doors inside the middle of a castle. Yep. And the game tries to keep you somewhat safe so that you don't run out of bullets, but every single room is like very carefully thought out and planned prevent that from happening. We have no idea what this picture is, but we assume it's not just supposed to be Renaissance pictures, unlike the other pictures, which I assume are like Renaissance era Christian pictures. It definitely feels like this would be a spot where the remake might add a character. And certainly the fan remake could be changing who these pictures are of. This is just like talking about how they found the Lost Plagas, and yeah, I'm not reading any of this. In a funny way, I guess that does leave you open to... That's just the same picture. Same picture, same frame, twice in the same room. Nice little light. You could set another game in this area later, after this whole event. I don't think you do particularly well if you set it earlier in this area. And I think the move here is to clear out the room with your handgun, which is about all you can do. And this is a kind of unique layout. There's that exact same picture, because it does take you from kind of a open exposed area to a somewhat secure, more safe area, back into the same opened exposed area. Yeah, we'll just run around collecting everything after the fact. There's a couple of rooms like this, and they stand out, certainly. Trying to find where the guy is, and as I'm trying to figure out where the character is, since he's ducking down here, he's taking pot shots at me. I see. We're being trained to chase after the red guy. Which I don't think is always the right move. See, yeah. The move here is to try and hit this guy fairly quickly. Alright, that sucks. There's a whole explosive barrel here where you really can't take advantage of. And I think we've lost our guy. for 1,000 peseta gold there. Let's try and come off at the pass. I think there might be like a machine gun in the middle of this facility, but that very possibly is another area. Nope. There is a machine gun in the facility, and ideally this, I guess, shows that if you waste a lot of bullets, you can kill somebody with a handgun there. So better playing on my part would almost certainly have allowed me seriously. Let's just solve this problem this way. Seemingly unable to hit this guy. Maybe the move is to hit him that way. I've got nothing else I can do. I think the general idea is you don't let him get this far. Otherwise you're screwed. And I've just run out of all my health at that point, and really I should have sold the eggs, I guess, because the egg there is not really that useful. Yeah, and at this point you might as well just let it kill you. Like, we failed in our attempt. We should just reset. We used way too much bullets for that. And yeah, that is just kind of another great example of, like, knowledge and checkpoints being the real factor in this game. Is that you're very much unlikely to succeed correctly the first try. So Yeah, I don't think I can hit that guy from that position. I do think there is a guy around here. Alright. There's another one down. So that should leave me really with just a couple of characters left. I guess the idea here is you want to get as high as you can with that shot, but you're probably going to still fail. It might as well just be worth it to reload. Alright. So, when we jump down, the door's gonna unlock, and we're gonna miss that gold, whatever. So if we had like a mine, now would be the time to use it. But since we don't have a mine, could we? I guess the question is he hiding behind this door, or is he further down the path? Yeah, I bet that didn't do any damage at all. And see, you're not gonna really stagger the guy. See, yeah, he's just kind of nowhere. And then we just need to kind of quickly try to hit this guy. And then zoom out, zoom in, and see if we can stagger him a couple of times with a couple of shots. Meanwhile, there's somebody somewhere here that I'm gonna have to take on. And you'd almost think that this would be timed, and that's what's going on here, is that you would time them. I guess there might also be just a safety in numbers here. Let's try this. That if you come down this way, you may prevent him from running, which, but then I guess at that point you probably do have to just chase after him. Like, I don't think he's up here where I could shoot him. Interesting. He actually reset. Okay. So what do we do about this now? I think we go shotgun. Oh, I think sometimes there's like maybe a spindle in the eyes of these gears, but I guess not in this case. Just run towards an explosive barrel. And then I'm just gonna try and run around as fast as possible. I think the idea here is you only get like 2 shots. Let's go and increase our health. I guess the thought might be that there would have been a way to get the chandelier. All we get for that is the gallery key. But noticeably, the chandelier here and the chandelier there doesn't do anything. And there's no point in which you're going to legitimately get... I guess I should check each of these paintings to see if there's maybe some gold hidden behind these too. Although I doubt it's going to be a painting that's hidden that high up. If anything, I guess it's odd that you have this sequence here that builds around an encounter with no major environmental assistance. The only slight assistance I can imagine you would really get here is perhaps there is just a pattern that I missed as far as chasing the guy backwards and forwards, although it doesn't really seem like it. Seems like you're going to have that encounter at least in your first playthrough. In a second playthrough, not so much. This is also a texture here in which the ceilings would have spikes coming down in a trap later. So there is another trap in this game. Spoiler for that. No. Nope. Nope. He collected everything over here. If you thought you could run through this like some of the previous sections, you would be horribly surprised, I guess, when that didn't happen. And I guess for my own safety's sake, I want to just check the map and see what the next section is. There definitely is sections in this game where I don't remember them. I remember them out of order. And there's straight up some points where there are Resident Evil like 5 content that I think is in Resident Evil 4. And Resident Evil 5 is something that definitely needs to be talked about, because with the remake of Resident Evil 4 on its way, I don't know what in the world they're going to do with 5 and 6. In a lot of ways, they need to combine the good elements of Resident Evil 5 and 6 and into the remake of 4. Otherwise, they're just going to have to stop making remakes, and they don't want to do that, obviously. But they run into the same complaints that the Japanese didn't probably even think about, in that you play as Chris in Resident Evil 5 and you're in Africa, so it's just this white guy shooting a bunch of black guys, and you run into that same problem in the remake, if not a worse problem in 2022 than when Resident Evil 5 originally was launched. So you either have to completely eliminate Chris and only play as Sheva, which is a decent way to do that, but then you also run into the problem of Resident Evil 5 being a decent game and not that good. Hopefully a remake could address that. But then you run into the problem of 6, which there are 4 separate stories in 6, and none of them merge together to tell a coherent, consistent story. So you basically have to scrap all of the narrative and all of the characters in Resident Evil 6 and try to take just any parts you think might actually be good in that game and merge that together as a single experience. Which some of the good parts in Resident Evil 6, if there are any good parts, are sacrifice of 6 lives shall make the way to the true path. Okay, so 3 is almost certainly not the right move, because you do that. There's only 2 options there. Which means we've got to get the least number of people on the screen at once. Which is that. 2, 4, 6. And so there's your falling action, to have just kind of a trap room with no real timer. Again, the spikes could have come down here, and that could have been a conflict. Yeah, it kind of makes a lot of sense. This is interesting. You have this light, but it's not lit up, and it just looks completely different. And I'm not sure that this texture gets used anywhere else in the game. Yeah, you could take the Leon parts of Resident Evil 6 and add it to a Resident Evil 4 remake,
But I'm afraid it's Ashley we
and
need.
then
Not you, Mr.
try
Kennedy.
to
If
take
you don't need me,
the
then
Chris
get off my back, old man.
stories and the other stories
Did
of
you
Resident
say
Evil
old
6.
man, Mr. Kennedy? It might come as a surprise.
That subtitle
but I'm
jumped
only
really
20
quick.
years old.
So you're just like all the others? A puppet of the parasites?
Surely you don't think I'm the same as those diminutive ganados. The parasites, las plagas, are slaves to my will. I have absolute control.
Well, I really don't give a damn. Rain or shine, you're going down.
And so you do a puzzle, then we do a cutscene, and then we do another encounter.
Get rid of our American friend.
Alright. I guess the general idea here is probably try to not to waste too many TMP bullets. Alright. Now, we've got really some guys that we could just sniper. There might be a slightly better way to take these out because you can shoot the you can potentially shoot the explosive lanterns above the heads of these guys, but not from this angle, so probably better to just take your chances and save yourself. Yeah, I'm hitting like the banister. So now we've got some rocket launcher guys that are going to shoot rocket launchers. I don't know if they're going to shoot multiple rocket launchers or if that's the only rocket launcher. So yeah, you could have hit that. Certainly. Yep. This is a great example of probably improved dead zoning. And you just wait till you see the green dot, the red dot. These doors don't open for you at all. Yeah, I don't believe doing that gets you any spinels. So this is almost certainly a waste. Yeah. Cheap shot rocket launcher characters. There's a button to press. I think the button potentially triggers the next phase of this attack. There's no door here. There is a door there. And there is a door here. So we should check this. This is also fairly weird. That there we go. We've got another full health and upgrade of our health. Which I imagine at most we need 6 more green and yellows. At worst, at best, we may only need 3 more greens and yellows. See, this is a odd section too, where you get outside of the area and then it stops looking fancy at all, and it feels more like the sewer section. Could potentially have run over here to get a different position. There's certainly that feeling that there's some positioning elements to some of these areas, but otherwise this is just a square room, and they have to work fairly hard to not repeat that, because that would have been really boring. Almost certainly in Resident Evil 1, there are a lot of rooms that are square because of the fixed camera angles alone. But once you have third-party cameras, once you have better systems, it does start to make a lot more sense. Security system is active. I have to deactivate it first. Okay. So you deactivate it, and this lets you get to that another cheap shot. And that's it. I guess you need the platform to reach it, although it seems like that really would have been a place where you could have probably pulled it off without that. Triggering cheap shots doesn't feel quite right in this game. It's not terrible. It's where they try to do some jump scares with having some real consequence to it. Otherwise, you would basically have no jump scares at all. I wonder if that may have spawned something down here. taking the goat ornament. Yep. Nope, there's no pickup item. Nor is there anything secretly around this, which, yeah, you could have put something secretly in an alcove under that. A lot of fine china textures. Also, let's just check the map again. We don't want to miss any treasures because you really don't want to come back through any of this. It would be a nightmare. This is, I guess, the closest thing to an X-cross position is this room. And yeah, it doesn't really work that way, though. You wouldn't. It's definitely not open world or anywhere close around the idea of open world. Anytime you see these loads, I'm assuming you're getting checkpointed. And see, this is a funny position where the crows come back for just a brief second, and I don't think they actually attack you, but if you could flashbang them in the right spot, like there's one, you can get a couple of gold. But I don't have any flashbangs left. I don't have anything left. Let's go ahead and override our save. It's been another hour. I suppose, as I try to be critical here, this is the point where the game starts to drag a little bit. It definitely is a point where specific hallways and sections become less memorable. This room is fairly memorable, but not as memorable as, say, this room with the machine gun. And then this hallway is pretty forgettable, and I can't even tell you what's in this room. But then this big maze section is fairly memorable, but then this room is not, and that hallway isn't. And this room, I couldn't even tell you what that is. And then this room is memorable again. Which, it's not a terrible way to make a game, really, to have sections that are filler sections or just connecting hallways. Nowadays, most of the people don't even bother to put the connecting hallway and have even a few seconds of falling action. It's just action on action on action. It's a little too ADHD for my tastes. Gold wise, we still have a decent amount of pesetas, plus we have some that can be sold. As long as we get all of the treasure components, this will sell nicely. And then we could potentially sell a green eye extra now, but I will probably want to just hold on to it until we get to the island. I don't think we see any butterfly lamps after the island. The other thing I guess we could do is we could just simply say, if we've collected all the stars on this map and left the castle, that's another point to sell any extra green eyes, which you may just have extras. It doesn't make the most amount of sense that you would have extras for the butterfly lamps and then have the butterfly lamps in the castle instead of the village. It would make more sense to allow for mistakes in the village, and then not allow for mistakes later on in the game. Although I guess maybe the idea is they just didn't want you to have that much extra money. Although we are seeing how money just does not matter. Yep. We are, despite my best efforts, very low on everything as far as bullets are concerned. So the game is going to have to decide to give me some more bullets fairly quickly. Particularly in this like maze section. Like you really can't get through this with a knife very easily. I probably would have a little bit more bullets if I did that. There is a way to unlock this door at this point and come back to the save spot and run back to the merchant, I guess, if you had more gold. Or you can just walk through the next section and then you'll run into the merchant again, and it seems like you only unlock upgrades when you see the merchant in a new location. So yeah, either here or here, which I guess that pretty much means there's no reason for the store to be here other than they just don't want you to go through this section a second time. Maybe that's the idea. Yep. It doesn't feel like we did that much. Again, trying to be a critic here. We started this hour in this room. We lost Ashley, which is nice because those tiny little rooms, it would have been pretty impossible to keep Ashley alive, particularly with the machine gun. We lost Ashley. We went in through the whole sewer system, and then we wrapped back into this room and had a fight in this room, in which we killed a bunch of people and got no rewards for it, which that was a mistake. And then we went through this room and this room, which effectively drained a lot of our bullets. But yeah, from where we started, we've basically moved to 2 rooms. That's kind of ridiculously small distance. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.